All right, let's dive into one of the most misunderstood and frankly controversial texts in all of Japanese history, the Hagakure. It's held up as this ultimate guide to the samurai spirit, but it kicks off with a line so shocking it's been puzzling people for centuries.
The way of the samurai is found in death. I mean, wow, that is the very first line, the entire thesis statement of the book. It's just so brutal, so absolute, and it sounds like a philosophy that has no place in our world today. It's so easy to read that and just write the whole thing off as some kind of morbid death cult. But what if that's not the whole story?
And that really gets to the heart of what we're going to explore today. Is the Hagakure really about glorifying death? Or is there a much deeper wisdom hidden in here? One that's actually about how to live a better life? To figure that out, we have to face this idea head on. Okay, so let's start with the most obvious interpretation. What does it actually mean to say the way of the warrior is found in death? Is it just about charging into battle and looking for a noble end? Well, the text doesn't pull any punches. It says, flat out, that if you're faced with the choice between living and dying, a samurai has to choose death. Instantly. There's no time to think about it, no weighing the pros and cons. The choice is immediate and it's absolute. It's a terrifyingly simple rule to live by. But here's where it gets really interesting. The author, Yamamoto Tsunetomo, he immediately clarifies this point. He's not telling you to just recklessly throw your life away for nothing. He calls that a dog's death. No, this is all about a psychological state. The idea is, if you wake up every single morning and you've already accepted that you could die today, you become free. You're free from fear, you're free from hesitation, you can dedicate yourself 100% to your duty, because the worst thing that could happen, you've already made peace with it. It's a mental tool for achieving perfect focus. But to really get why he thought this way, we have to look at the man himself.
You see, the context behind these words is, well, it's everything. To get this mindset, you have to understand the man who wrote them and the world he was living in. And trust me, it's probably not what you're expecting.
So get this, here is the central paradox of the Hagakure. The man who wrote the ultimate guide to the warrior's path never actually fought in a major battle. He was a bureaucrat, a page, basically an attendant to his lord. So why on earth was a guy like that so obsessed with death? This timeline really tells the whole story. Tsunetomo was born during a long period of peace. The bloody civil wars were a thing of the past. He dedicated his entire life to serving his master, a lord named Mitsushige. But then, in 1700, his lord died. Now, the traditional way for a samurai to show ultimate loyalty was something called junshi, ritual suicide, to follow your master into death. But by Tsunetomo's time, the government had actually outlawed it. So here he is, a samurai whose whole purpose in life is gone, and he's forbidden by law from fulfilling what he saw as his final duty. He was literally forced to live. So what did he do? He became a monk, and in total seclusion, he dictated the thoughts that would become the Hagakure. And this question really gets to the heart of the entire book. If you are a warrior, but you live in an age with no wars, what are you for? How do you keep that spirit of absolute resolve, that readiness, when your day-to-day life is basically just paperwork and court politics? This existential crisis is the engine that drives everything he says, and it leads us to a completely radical new way of looking at that famous opening line.
Okay, so this is where modern thinking has completely flipped our whole understanding of this text. The argument is that for centuries we've been reading the Hagakure all wrong.
This quote from a commentator named Tatsuya Naramoto just hits the nail on the head. He argues that the resolve to die isn't the goal, it's the method. It's a psychological trick you use to transform death into life. It's not about ending your life. It's about making the life you have more powerful, more focused, and way more meaningful.
This chart really breaks it down perfectly. The common misconception is that this is about seeking an end, about glorifying death, some kind of philosophy of fatality. But the true meaning? It's about accepting the end so that you can act without fear. It's about total commitment to the present moment. It's not the way of dying, it's the way of living.
And that's really what it boils down to. It's a mental tool. Think of it this way. By facing and accepting the worst possible outcome, death, you take away its power. It's no longer something you have to be afraid of, which means you can act with total clarity and purpose in everything you do. The death mindset is actually a life hack for ultimate performance.
So this all sounds great, but how does this 18th century samurai philosophy actually translate into practical advice that you or I could use? Well, the Hagakure is actually full of it.
Let's start with a simple tool for making better decisions, and it all comes down to a single number: 7.
Tsunetomo says that when you're faced with a big, important decision, you should make up your mind within the space of about 7 breaths. Why? Because if you take any longer than that, your mind gets cloudy. You start overthinking, calculating, second-guessing. A clear, decisive mind, one that has already accepted the ultimate consequence, can see the right path almost instantly and act without getting bogged down.
Now, to keep this state of readiness, Tsunetomo laid out a daily mantra, the 4 vows. The idea was to repeat these every single morning. And notice how they progress. It starts with yourself, personal discipline. Then it moves outward to your duty to your Lord and your family. And finally, it culminates in this broad, almost Buddhist-inspired compassion for all other people. It's like a daily reset button for your purpose.
In all of this, every bit of it comes back to this one central idea. Live in the now. The past is gone, the future isn't guaranteed. For the samurai who's ready to die at any moment, the only thing that is real, the only thing that matters, is right now. There is surely nothing other than the single purpose of the present moment. Every action, every thought has to be focused on what's right in front of you.
So, we've really come full circle, haven't we? The great secret of this intimidating, dark-sounding book is that it's not really about death at all. It's about life. It teaches that by fully accepting our own mortality, we can unlock a more vibrant, more focused, and more purposeful way of living, free from all the fear and hesitation that holds so many of us back.
And that brings us to one final question. Because this isn't just some dusty 18th century philosophy, it's a direct challenge to you. If you could remove all fear of the consequences, if you had to act with the total, unwavering resolve of someone who has already made their peace with the end, what decision would you make right now, today?